Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paige Draper, Pioneer Title, Senior Account Executive, Sales and Marketing. I work with Samantha Williams and Brenda Bowers, also on this call with us today. We are your resource for anything marketing. So these classes are very important for us as much as they are for you. We're learning alongside you in these. And email marketing is particularly interesting to me because we do a lot of social media. But email is also very important because we need to stay in contact with our sphere of influence, any new people that we're getting in contact on a daily basis, adding them to our list. How do we communicate with them effectively without creating spam and red flagging ourselves? So this is definitely going to be a good class. So just another reminder, we're here as a resource to you, and we will be following up with you after the class. And again, if you have any questions during the class, please put that in the Q&A or the chat, and we can field those questions as we go.
Perfect.
Thank you, Paige. Brenda Bowers, Pioneer Title. I think Paige helped us with that. And again, exactly what Paige says, we have templates, we have marketing programs, and the obstacles would be definitely not to get quarantined or, I guess non-compliant. And even Ms. Samantha learned a lot about that and adding in the opt-out and opt-in when we started doing this. So Gary has some great things. Next week is mission statements. So that will be extremely important for many reasons, and Gary will touch on that as well. What's new in the escrow world, Samantha?
Well, hello. My whole team is back in the office, so that's very exciting. Last week was our first week back, and it was crazy. This week is just as crazy, but happy to be back. Like Brenda was saying when she got in, that she's also at our office today, and how nice it is to be back and working, and obviously still taking the precautions that we need to around our clients and around each other to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe so we can stay in our offices. We don't want to come and then have to go back home, which I've heard a lot of talk about, and who knows, if we do, we do, right? But for right now, we're doing everything we can to stay safe, and doors are still locked at the offices so that you're only coming in appointment only. If it's something you just need to drop off, we have boxes outside and you can drop it and leave it and we'll pick it up. Obviously gloves and masks and hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes and all of that everywhere. We were just saying we have that plexiglass that goes between us and the person that's signing on the other side. I think they call them a sneeze guard. And how dirty it's getting because we're using Clorox wipes, and I think we're rubbing like the finish off of them, and so they're all blurry. But I guess that's what Clorox does. It eats everything, hopefully the germs too. So other than that, we're doing everything we can for our clients. It's 100% up to our clients as to if they want to come in and sign or if they'd rather us send a notary. I would say it's about 50-50 right now, maybe even more like 60-40 that they want to come in. We're getting more and more saying, yeah, we'll come in. And we have a brand new box of pens. They grab their own pen, and we're doing everything we possibly can, but we spreading our signings out so that there's a half an hour between signings. Only one family is in the office at a time. Everything we can possibly do from our end, unless you have suggestions of others, but to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. And that way we do get to interact with the clients, and we do get to explain the closing documents the way that they should be explained and the way that their client deserves to have them explained, and then we can answer questions. We have great notaries that go to our clients. However, obviously they're not the escrow officer and they don't know about the file. They do call us. I had one sign this morning at 11, and sure enough, the notary called because the client had a question. So that's always an option. And then actually I have a Ron coming up. We're a COVID positive seller. And we've got our Ron team on it. They're going to do it for us on Thursday. So we're going to DocuSign everything that can be DocuSigned, and then the deed and the owner's affidavit that needs to be notarized. The two sellers will sign via remote online notarization with our Ron team so that we can get that one recorded, even though they are COVID positive. So they are under quarantine for 14 days. I didn't want to go in. I didn't want to send a notary in, and I wouldn't feel comfortable sending a notary in myself. I'd feel guilty, I guess. But Ron works perfect for situations like this. So we're able to get that one closed. But thank you, Gary. I do a lot of email marketing. In fact, that's what I do the most of. I absolutely am, working on social media and everything that you're teaching. But I think that email marketing is your direct connect to the people that you want. And so I think it's very important, but I did add my own opt-out. If anyone has questions on how to do that, I figured it out one weekend. I don't know if you girls remember, but I'm like, how do I do this? And I figured it out, and I was so proud. So it's pretty darn easy to create a signature line with an opt-out link that emails you when they want to opt out. But he'll give you tons of great tips, and I definitely appreciate everything that you've done for us, Gary, and you continue to do for us. And I am looking forward to listening to this one as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and you're right. Email marketing is such an important piece, as I said earlier. And I've mentioned it before, in the fact that there are only two things in your digital marketing bag of tricks that you control fully. You control your website and you control your email list. Everything else is up to the whim of a platform. Social media, Facebook decides to change and it does something detrimental, you're SOL. Instagram changes, whatever it might be. Any of those things that change, you are at their beck and you have no control. They control it. They want to change it. Too bad. So sad. So let me pop up a quick poll here, and just to get your feedback on just on where you are on email marketing. So I'm going to launch this poll. Oops. Excuse me. I'll stop. I'm going to end this one more time. Relaunch. There we go. Continue. All right. And I actually made it where panelists, where you guys can vote this time. I should have been doing that all along. So anyway, take a quick minute, just a couple of questions. Do you have a list? How often do you mail to that list? Those are the two questions. So just take a minute, pop those in there. The importance of email marketing is so critical, because you are, it's that constant communication, those frequent touches that you have to not just existing clients. We know you guys do a phenomenal job on communicating with your existing client pipeline. It's the folks that are in there, and as they're moving through the buying process, the selling process, you're right on top of that. And that's great. What we're going to be talking about today is utilizing the email platforms so that you can keep those people that are past clients, future clients, prospects, where you can keep them aware of who you are when they're ready to buy. And that's really what we're trying to do. So, we're talking about top of mind awareness with everything. So that, because I think and I don't have the exact stats, but it's something like for every month they don't hear from you, you lose 10% remembrance of who you are. So after an end of a year, and how often are people going to buy or sell real estate? Well, that's right. It's 3 to 5 years or maybe longer. Well, if that's the case, what happens if they've not heard from you and somebody else they do hear from? They may replace you, and you've already developed and done all the work and developed the reputation and the connection, but yet you're not going to continue to get that business because you've lost track. They forgot you. And I know all of you guys are unforgettable. I realize that, but just keep in mind that some people have short memories, and they may forget who you are, and they may find somebody else. So, and it takes a lot to nurture and grow those relationships. So we don't want to waste any of those opportunities. So I'll give you another minute or so, just another couple of seconds to finish voting here, and then I will close it down so I can share screen, and we will get rolling. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll right now. And let's see here. So looking at the results, about a third of the people don't have any email list. About a third of you send from your own email. And a third of you use your agency portal contacts. So frequency of time, a third rarely, about 40% monthly, and then 25% as needed. Okay, great. Cool. So we've got a kind of a broad scope here. Perfect. So let me launch screen and we will get this rolling. All right. So some effective strategies. One of the reasons that we want to look at email marketing as a channel is because it has the highest return on investment of any other platform out there. It's higher than organic search results or search engine optimization. It's higher than content marketing, which is blogs. We don't see social media on here, so it's obviously higher than social media. It is the return on investment spent in email marketing is definitely a positive. So you want to make sure you utilize that for that very reason. Here we go. So why email marketing? Well, first of all, companies that use email marketing generate 50% more leads. So you're going to generate more traffic or more leads that way. And emails have proven to be 40 times more effective than Facebook. But really one of the biggest things is that not everyone you meet is at what's known as zero moment of truth. It's that moment when you start learning or thinking about real estate, when you start thinking about buying or selling. You know, we don't know, as we meet people through the course of our, lives, days, business activities, whatever it may be, and we may gather business cards, we may, be connected through them one way or another. But, we don't know where they are in that buying cycle, and that there is a definite stage of, or a cycle for buyers, for people making a decision, actually, I should say. And so you want to be able to keep in front of those people that you meet, regardless of where they are. And so that's one of the things we're going to talk about. There are a couple of different email programs out there that I recommend. Now, some of you, I did see some of you are using your company a CSM, so that's great if it does the job that you need. You have to be, you need to be cautious about those. And in this, I will say this: what happens if? What happens if at some point in time you leave that brokerage? What happens if you leave the company you're with and go someplace else? Do they have a different marketing system, an email marketing system? Do they use the same thing? Is it portable? Can you transport it out? What can you do, and how much control and portability do you have to that email program? And as a result, I typically recommend, and again, you can do what you want. And a lot of times the systems are really good because they do get you plugged in. They do get people plugged into their system as they inquire. So that's great to have. But, it does depend on the features that you have and how flexible it is and that type of thing. Now, in a lot of situations, you should be able to export out from your customer management or customer relationship management software. You should be able to export that out into one of the mail programs if you want. MailChimp is always a good starter. MailChimp allows you to, MailChimp is a good starter because it allows you to get started with up to 2,000 email addresses and no cost. And it's pretty it has a lot of good features to it. So it does limit you to one list, but for the most part, you can still segment that list. So MailChimp is a good starting point. A question was asked: I'm new and I don't have the contact list built up yet. I need to know if there's a way to get an email list. Well, you're at the right place, because I'm going to cover both of those questions here in a few minutes. So just stand by, Nancy. Constant Contact is another platform that I've used, and it has a lot more features. It does some really cool stuff. I like Constant Contact for events because it would let me schedule an event inside Constant Contact, send the reminder, and let me take PayPal for a payment. Whereas if I use an Eventbrite or something like that, Eventbrite holds the money till after the event, and then they take their cut out of it and you pay for it. Whereas with Constant Contact's program through PayPal, I get the money immediately. So that's one of the reasons I like Constant Contact. It has other features as well. One of the ones that I've used a lot lately is Aweber. Aweber is a great program for autoresponders. It also creates landing pages. And so I'm going to talk about some of the features of AWeber, but all three of them are great programs. AWeber and Constant Contact are about the same price. I think they're $29.95 a month for up to 2,000 or 2,500 emails, I believe it is. Beyond that, it goes up to like $49 a month, and it progresses up from there. But, you know, if you've got 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people on your email list and you're using it right, it's paying for itself. So you're not going to be too concerned if you're using your email marketing software platform correctly. You're going to generate more than enough to cover the cost as you grow the list. Some do's and don'ts about your email list. Number one, don't buy one. Don't go out and buy an email list. I know you're tempted to, but there are a couple of problems with that. Number one, they're not trustworthy. You don't know how all that list is. You don't know how when it was last scrubbed of unsubscribes. You don't know if the audience does not know who you are. And so you start sending blindly to an email list, the chances of getting marked as spam are greatly increased with a list. So you got to build your own list. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the only way to really do it. The other issue is if you're sending to a list that's not, that you bought, and you get a lot of unsubscribes, and you're using something like AWeber, Constant Contact, or MailChimp, they're going to turn around and more than likely shut you down, give you a warning the first time, shut you down the second time, because you don't have permission to mail to these people. They didn't opt into your list. You bought it. That does not imply the right to you. That does not imply the right for you to email them. So, and there is a CAN Spam Act, and the penalty is pretty severe if you do get charged with something like that. It's like $10,000 an email, something that's ridiculous. So, or maybe it's $1,000 an email, but if you send out, if you send out 10 emails that are spam, and that's $10,000. So it can be very costly. You don't want to do that. You can import emails from other sources. So if you've got a list of contacts in your contact list in your regular email list, you've got Gmail, or you've got Yahoo, or you've got something like that, you can export that list into one of the email services. All you have to do is export it in a CSV file, comma separated value. It's just like a spreadsheet file. You can do it in Excel too, but CSV is what usually is looked for. So you export it out, you can import it into these, and now you have your list ready to roll. To be safe, send an opt-in email message before starting a campaign. So you want to send out your initial piece should say, hey, I'm going to be sending out information about whatever it is of value you're going to be sending. And I think you'll find it useful, but if you choose not to receive anything, just simply click the opt-in button at the bottom, and and you won't receive anything else. So it's best to send the opt-in just to be safe. I know you're going to lose some, but better to lose them than jeopardize your email campaign. Don't spam. I think that's pretty obvious, but it is tempting, to say, well, hey, I got this list that I got from somewhere, and I'm going to send them, everybody on that list. And if they hammer me about it, well, well, that's not that easy. But what you really want to do is create content worth reading. That's the whole point. Do you subscribe to are you going to subscribe to an email that says, sure, just send me your spam sales message anytime you want? I'm fine with that. You're not. And why would you expect anybody else to? You have to be creating content of value. So the question was asked, if you export your contacts to a program, do they sell the contacts to others? Absolutely not. They are held to the CAN Spam Act far, far more than we as individuals are. And that's why they'll shut you down if you do something in violation, because they don't want the repercussions on them. So their privacy is high level, and they're not going to release that information because they're going to make more money out of us as subscribers than they are selling a list. So good question. But make sure in this particular case, and we're talking, again, we're not talking about the one-on-one conversations that you have with your clients and active clients. We're talking about keeping in touch with future, past, and prospective clients. So go beyond the home searches. If I'm not in the market and what you're sending out is your custom home search or your new listings, I'm not interested and I'm going to unsubscribe. Plain and simple. I'm not in the market, and so don't send it to me. Now, if you've got something value, yeah, I'll read it. But don't be sending something because that's the easiest thing to do. You can send out a list. Well, everybody wants to see my list of, searches or my list of open houses or whatever. No, they don't. Keep in mind, it's not about you. So let's start by nurturing our audience. This is really what we're trying to do. And the process is really, you're trying to handhold your prospective client through the buyer journey, through the buyer seller journey, through the commitment phase of doing business with you. We're trying to walk them through this process. And so the better job we do of that, of nurturing that audience and growing that audience, the better they're going to stick with us, the better they're going to follow what we have and choose to do business with us in the future. Your content should serve your audience by addressing their questions at each phase of the buying process. So where are they in the buying sequence? And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Here's a breakdown of the buying phases, the buying process. And it starts with awareness, and that's the beginner. And at the beginner awareness phase, they're really unaware of any problem. They might be thinking way down the road that maybe at some point, we may outgrow this house or we may stop renting. But right now, it's just there in the mind and we don't really have a problem. The consideration intermediate phase is when they drop into that, okay, we've outgrown our house. We really got to do something because we're stumbling over each other and it's time to do something. Our rent's going up or the neighborhood's going downhill, whatever it might be. So we are at the point of, we really need to, look into this and figure out a solution to our problem. But they're still solution unaware, and the fact that they haven't made a decision. But they move into that decision phase in the advanced phase where they're going, okay, so what are our options? What can we do? Should we rent another house? Should we buy? Can we qualify for a loan? What kind of credit do we need? Those are all questions they start asking, and then they come up with the solution or the solution aware phase, and then the action phase where they actually pull the trigger. And in each one of those phases, the content should be different. So, when you know who you're talking to, you can direct your content, your emails to that particular person and what they're looking for. For example, the awareness phase. They may have identified potential problems, but they're embarrassed to ask questions because they don't want to look stupid. It's kind of like the same thing as going into a used car lot or, going into a store with a high pressure salesperson, a furniture store, for example, or, where it's a high pressure. What can I do to put you in this car today? What can I do what kind of deal? Let me tell you what I can do to get you into this. They don't want to look stupid because they don't understand the process. So they're really gathering more information, and that's why they're starting online in the digital way. So if they've met you at some point, they've given you email or you've gotten their email somehow or other. Now they're starting to gather information, and your content geared around awareness can help them answer those questions. So your content should be centered around what and why. You want to center that around things like, why should I stop renting? what, what home buying mistakes or, what mistakes with my current home should I stop making? In other words, am I putting a lot of money into remodels that aren't going to pay me back? What does a, CMA mean, or what does a home inspection require? How long does it take to, what's the process to get a loan? So where do I start? Those are the questions that you should be directing that information to in this awareness phase. The next phase is consideration, and now they're actively looking for solutions to their pain points. So in this particular case, it's the how question that helps them solve the things that they pointed out, the problems they pointed out in the awareness. So if they may have thought about, what financing options are available. Now the next question is, how do I take advantage of those? How do I become qualified for those programs? How do I find a lender that gives me those programs? How do I find a realtor that can guide me through the buying process or the selling process? How do I find out if the repairs and the upgrades we're thinking about doing to the house are going to be worth it, because we know we're going to outgrow it in the next 2 or 3 years and want to sell? So how can I implement? Those are the types of content questions that you're answering in the second phase. And then in the decision stage, rather, they're primed and ready to buy. So you're just trying to help them see the light at the end of the tunnel. They're ready to buy. Now they're ready to know, okay, so how can I get the most for my home? Or how do I find the perfect home in my budget? Now they're getting specific. And this is where, again, more solution-oriented content will guide them through this process. And the real key, so really what this comes down to, before I get into the next point, let me make this one more point here. The real key is trying to identify this audience and segmenting them in such a way that that you know who they are, and that you can talk to them in the way they need to be approached. And so segmenting your list is a critical piece. It helps you maximize your effectiveness. You can segment your list by interest. So it can be buyer's list. You can have a seller segment. You can have a budget segment, an area segment. So let's say you want to, if you're creating an email to buyers, potential buyers, you don't want to send that to sellers. Same vice versa. You don't want to send seller information to buyers. They're not going to find it useful. If you're talking about, showcasing $1 million home, and you've got a segment of your list that's, the most they can afford is $300,000. Doesn't make sense to try to bombard them, because they're going to go, well, I'm not even worth them talking to me about. You also can segment the list by family information. Do they have kids? Do they have teenagers? Do they have an aging parent that they're dealing with? You could segment for renters or investors or relocation. So those are all areas that you can try to, if you can get that information and target those audiences with your email, that's the key to effectively using your list. And the more personalized and targeted, the more likely the engagement will be. So again, they know, you wouldn't send an investor information on as a home seller. They're not looking for that. So what you're really trying to do is segment your list by the buying stages, so that you can, again, talk to each individual as if you were talking to them face to face. So where do you capture emails? Where do you start building that list? How do you start building that content list? One of the things you can do is create a landing page by topic, by segment, specific page, and you can have an opt-in form. So let's say that on your website, Let's say that you want to traffic or want to target home buyers. And so you create a checklist of 5 tips a home buyer needs to know, or 5 mistakes a home buyer makes when it comes to buying their first home. Create that in a landing page. So that's all that's on that page with a form. And now when you send that out, or when you contact people, or you can direct them there to get that information, now they're going to leave their email address on that landing page. And that way you have them added to the proper list. AWeber does a beautiful job with landing pages. I have a printer that does a great job with that. And he was trying to kind of grow his list and build his opt-in. And so he offered 500 free business cards to anybody that signed up to his list. And so we created a landing page in AWeber. It took us probably 30 minutes because they have preset templates, and we just maneuvered that around, set it up in AWeber, put the link out there, and then and he promoted that through his print or through his any opportunities he had face to face to get people to opt in. So again, he's giving them value in exchange for their email address. You can have a sign up on your website. So if somebody finds your website, you should have a sign up form that they can capture that captures their email address. If you've got a blog, so you're educating your audience, ask them to subscribe. Put a subscribe button at the end. There again, they're trading out the content of value that you're giving them on your blog in return for their email address. Open house sign-ins. You've got a sign-in sheet for your open houses, or you will have when you start doing those again. So follow up and add them to your list based on their interests. Let's say that you're doing an open house in a particular neighborhood. Well, you know that if somebody's doing an open house, then they're probably interested in some way, shape, or form in that neighborhood, and it's probably a good indicator that they are looking to buy. It could be neighbors. So if it's, if they're neighbors and you find out that information, then you could put the neighbors in the seller category. But you can do a follow-up and then let them know, find out more about their interest. What were you looking for? Why did you come? Why were you here? Is there something specific that you're going to be looking for or action that you're going to be taking? And then add them to your list that way. Don't overlook past clients. They can be gold for you. You want to keep your name in front of them. And as I mentioned earlier, those, if you don't stay in touch, they'll forget who you are. So your past clients are a great source for future business. Don't forget those. But again, what does it take to get someone to trade their valuable privacy, their email address, to you? They got to have something in return. So what's the offer? What's in it for me? That's what WIFM is, WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's what we're all about, right? We want to know if I'm going to subscribe, it's got to be worth my while. So what are you willing to offer in exchange for their email addresses? Can you create valuable information geared to their interests? So for example, well, first of all, no selling. Make sure that whatever you create, there is no sales pitch in it. It's free resources. You're not trying to sell them anything. All you want them to do is opt in, is get your free resource. And in return, we're going to send you back, create the form below on the landing page or whatever it may be. You submit the form, and you want to make sure that when they submit that form, automatically what you're going to send them goes back to them. Don't make them wait. If you're trying to do it on your own, what's going to happen? You're going to get busy. You're going to find that 4 or 5 hours later, they're going to send it and they're going to go, wow, this is how quick they respond. I wanted it now. And now I don't even know what this is. Delete. You need to be sending them back whatever it is you're offering immediately. It needs to be an automated process. But things like a free guide, how to get the maximum return out of your home, send that to potential home sellers. Free cheat sheet or checklist for buying or selling your home. 5 common mistakes buyers make, common mistakes sellers make. How to pick the right home, or how to analyze the right offer. I mean, those are things that you can put out in a free guide format. And most of that information is readily available. You just want to take it and put it in your own words, make it yours and brand it that way, because we love information. We like free information. So the more you can give me, the more you can give your audience, your potential client, the better they think of you, the more they think of you as the expert. One of the things that's an important piece to keep you in front of your audience is a drip campaign. Now, by drip campaign, I mean it's a pre-scheduled email that goes out on a regular basis. So it's already created. It's what's called evergreen content, and it will go at any point in time. It doesn't matter if they subscribe now or 6 months from now. The sequence can be once a month, once it's for 6 weeks, once every 2 months, whatever you want it to be. But the email goes out with on a regular basis, and you don't have to do anything to it once it's scheduled. So you create an autoresponder, and Aweber is the best by far for that. And for those of you that might want to check out Aweber, there'll be a link on the replay page to an Aweber. I have an affiliate account, so if you're interested, you can click on it and go there. But Aweber has got some really powerful stuff that you can utilize, and it's relatively easy to work with. You can, again, use prospective clients and past clients, add them to your campaign, the evergreen content that I talked about. The one thing you don't want to do is plug in any seasonal specific content into a drip campaign. So you don't want to say, yeah, during this fall, during the fall season, you can do X, Y, Z, or it's football season, or it's, it's time to get ready for holidays. But they subscribed and that's, step 3 in your scheduled content. But if they sign up in February and that content goes out in May, you look silly. So that's why the evergreen content has to be something that would work anytime they send it. Pre-written and scheduled in advance. Do it one time and you're good to go from there on. And make the campaign pertinent to the list section. So you might have a campaign for home buyers. You might have a separate campaign for home sellers. You might have a separate campaign for first-time buyers or for investors. All of those things and there are overlapping ideas that can be used in both. But for the most part, you want to keep that pertinent to the list because it's going to be far more effective and it's going to get you more results. One of the cool things that Aweber does, and some of the others do as well, but Aweber does a really good job of it, is you can put tags in each email that triggers something based on their action. Here's what I'm talking about. For example, you send them an email and then the reader clicks on the home buyer checklist. So the email is talking about my free home buyer checklist will give you, 15 things you should look for when you're buying a home, or the process in buying a home, anything of that nature. And so they click on the link to go to that, to get that checklist, that resource. Once they do, then that action sets a tag in their email address in that list. And it can move them now from the potential client to the more serious about buyer, to the buyer category, the more consideration or decision-making buyer. And now you can send them stuff that's more targeted. The tag moves them from awareness phase to consideration or even to decision. Don't keep emailing a segment that's not interested. If you send it out, if you send home buyer information, Are they opt into that list? You don't want to be sending them home seller information. So again, they're not interested. Make sure what you're sending them is value and it meets their needs, their interests. So let's look at some ideas for emails. So obviously listings and open houses are a good source, are a good topic to send out. And again, send those to the right segment though, not to everybody. Mortgage news and updates. This is good information where you're educating them on what's happening in the financial world, what's happening in the mortgage world. They may not be ready to buy at the time or sell, but you send out an email newsletter that has a short market mortgage market update that said mortgage rates right now are in the low threes or high twos. So those people that may be looking to move now thinking, hey, I can afford more homes, so let's check that out. So you're sending them educational content. Another cool idea is to do a neighborhood review. If you work in a particular neighborhood, a particular area, you work in the foothills, you work in Rancho Vistoso, you work in Dove Mountain, you want to work in, Continental Ranch or Vale or wherever it might be, then sending that market review out to people that fit those criteria can really help them see the amenities of a neighborhood, see the schools, find out the restaurants, the coffee shops, the things that are happening in that neighborhood. So you build interest in a community that maybe they don't know about, but the general area that might be interested in. Restaurant review. You could send this to any of your lists. This could be included in any of the lists because take a local restaurant and review them. Send out information. You can share that on social media as well and then get some cross promotion from the local restaurant by that as well. But again, that's service related. So you're letting people know that you're community minded as well. Local charities. If you work with a local charity, send out information about that charity. Or just any of the charitable causes that you find worthwhile, then utilize that in an email. Showcase a local business. This is probably one of the most powerful things you can do, and yet we overlook it because our local businesses are all just like us. We rely on those local businesses to do a good job for us. So what if you showcase that local plumber, or the local tile guy, the local cleaner or window cleaner or whatever it might be. Showcase those businesses because they can, number one, you're giving your client good service, resource they would love to have, because we all love to know, I'd love to know a good, home cleaner or whatever. So when you send that recommendation, that becomes golden to the client and to that business as well. And now you've ingratiated yourself to the businesses as well. What if you create a new buyer's resource guide and use your business partners in that? So a new home buyer, especially first time, they move into a home and now they've got little things they want to do. So maybe they need a handyman to change out the locks. Maybe they want to hang a ceiling fan. So they need a handyman or an electrician. Maybe they've got, they want to repaint and don't want to do it themselves. So maybe they need a good painter. Maybe they need some landscape work. They think they want to do some landscaping or a pool service or any number of things. So create a buyer's resource guide so that you can send out to your list. And there again, you're benefiting that business partner of yours, but you're also providing that value resource for your client. Home improvement tips and decorating ideas. We love that kind of stuff, right? I mean, why do you think that HGTV and the DIY stuff is also popular? It's because, we want to get that. We love looking at that idea. Oh, I could paint my wall this color and put these little shelves in there. And, look how it would enhance my, my living space. So those are always good sources and those could go to home buyer or home seller. the seller could, find those home improvement tips and goes, ooh, if I do that, it's really going to make my, house pop when I get ready to sell it in a year or two. Seasonal to-do list. This is another cool idea. We've got monsoons coming up, right? So what if you sent out an email that had a checklist for monsoon season? So checklist 1, have your roof checked, make sure there's no cracks, make sure your downspouts and your scuppers are clean, make sure your gutters are all clean and working properly, make sure your pool equipment is working good order, make sure the landscaping is, this or that or whatever it might be, but create a seasonal to-do list and send that to your audience. Now, they may keep that. They maybe even put it in a PDF format that they can print it out and put it on their refrigerator or whatever. But again, it's the content that you're sending that they find valuable and useful. And then we can always send inspirational emails. So the fun stories, the success stories of what you did, how you helped a particular young couple that had never bought a home, and you made it happen for them. Combine that with some of the others. So combine the inspirational story with a neighborhood review, with a restaurant review, with a showcase of a local business. And then that gives you the content again for newsletters. So 7 essential email marketing tips. It starts with a killer headline, a killer subject line. 35% of recipients open based on the subject line. The better the subject line, the more powerful, the more chance you have of it being open. If you just put in there real estate buying update, real estate market update, ho hum, boring. I can get that off of CNBC or Fox, or I can get that off of the Daily Star or whatever. But 5 trends for 2020 for the real estate market. Well, you might open that because we love lists. We love anything that gives us a checklist of something we can look at. And every time, I use this in blog posts all the time. My blog post will frequently have a numbered list in the subject line because people like that. The other thing you want in the subject line is you want it personalized. So with the programs like Constant Contact, MailChimp, Aweber, they all have the ability to what's called mail merge, and so that you can put, dear Sally, 5 tips for helping you improve the value of your home for resale, or improve the resale value of your home. Okay, so the personalization makes it improves the click-through rate by 14%. Send emails from your name, not from a company, not from a business name. It doesn't need to come from XYZ brokerage. It needs to come from you personally. That's going to increase the open rate once more, because people they look at email coming from a person as personalized as opposed to a company being salesy. You want to include visuals in your email. So put some graphics. Use Canva to create some graphics or a photo or an infographic. Do something in there that gets people's attention. So the imagery is important, because that, again, holds their attention longer. Use your brand voice. By that, I mean write your email in the way you talk to somebody. If you are relaxed and laid back, then use a relaxed, laid back tone of voice. If you're a little more high energy, use a little more high energy voice. Make sure that you balance your personality to the clients. But it's so important that they understand the email is just you speaking to them. And the more you can emulate that, what your speech would be like, the better it is when they meet with you face to face, when they actually call you to confirm that they're ready to do business. Then if they find that you're the same person they're talking to verbally as what they've been reading, then you've increased your rapport and trust with them significantly. Avoid industry jargon. we fall into this trap a lot. You know, we talk about, you know, contact me for a CMA, or we'll be, you know, we want to talk about you know, doing a Benzer, you know, have a Benzer report or whatever it might be. And you know, all the jargon, but I don't. If I'm the average Joe and you talk to me about CMA, I think you're talking about the Country Music Awards. You talk to me about Benzer and I might be like, I'm going on a bender. You know, what am I going drinking? What's the deal here? So use terminology you understand. Let me get you a comparative market analysis of your home. Let me give you a buyer. You know, we're going to do a home inspection, and this is what the report that the home inspector will give you to tell you what's right and what's wrong with your home. So use terminology they understand. Lastly, include a call to action. Do not send anything out without a call to action. And I'm not talking hard sell. Do not get, you know, hey, you know, now if you're looking to buy, you got to buy from me because I'm the greatest and I've got this and I've got that and I can get you the best return. No, the call to action should be something simple. Hey, if you have questions, if you'd like to find out more, you can reach me at my phone number, my email address, my website, text me, but leave it at that. Don't get pushy. Just put that content out there and leave it where they can make it easy, because the last thing you want to do is send them something. They're ready to follow up, but your phone number's not there. Your email address is not on there. They got to go to your website to find that, and then they got to dig around for it. No, make it easy for them to communicate with you in any way they want. So have that call to action. Very important. Bonus tip. A lot of folks, realtors, love the like program like BombBomb, where you can have a subscription and you can send an email, you know, you can send a video in your email, but it's a rather pricey, and I haven't looked at the price lately, but I know it was a little bit pricey. If you use Gmail, you have a free option in Gmail. Now, it doesn't have all the whistles and bells, but it's still pretty cool in the fact that all you have to do is download the app for Gmail, and it's free video email by Cloud HQ. You download that. It puts a little camera icon next to the send button in your Gmail. You click that. It brings up your camera. You record your video. You say, yep, it's good to go. Hit send. And now you've just sent them a video email. Plays right within their email. They don't have to go anywhere. Cool little tool, free. I like free. It's always good. That's a good option. So check that out if you're interested. Like I said, it's a neat little tool, and I've used it quite a few times. So do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions about anything while we're doing that? I'm going to pop the poll up here. One more little poll up here for you.
There was only one thing, Gary, in the chat part as far as prospecting lists, which we're able to give to them. And I always suggest the Excel scenario until they figure out where they would like to bring it up, and we're happy to help them with that.
Yeah. So if you've got the prospecting, a list in any shape can be, I mean, as long as it's in a spreadsheet format of some kind. Like I said, most of the email programs are going to want to use CSV files, which is, it's really just a spread. It's an Excel spreadsheet, but it's a generic one. Catherine, I ask you, can you add the video in all of your Gmail? Yeah, you can record it in any Gmail that you want. You just click on it and it records to one person. I just put the poll up there on we've done several topics. So in the past, so if there are ones that you're still having trouble implementing, and pop those in the poll here and let me know that. And also, if there are topics that you would like to know more about, you can put those in here as well and let me know. That way I can, we can address those in future webinars too. So as always, you can contact me. If you need personalized help, I do one-on-one or small group coaching. My phone number and email are there. My website is down here, 800businessninja.marketing. This is being recorded. So in about 30 minutes or So I'll have the recording back. I'll post it up in the ninjamarketingdojo.com/realtor-training. If you're interested in finding out about AWeber and checking it out, I've got a link there in that page as well. It is an affiliate link. I have an affiliation program with them because I've recommended them so many times, but you can check that out there. And then, if those of you that have been on my webinars and if you're finding information here that's of value, like you, I operate with word of mouth and referral basis. And so the reviews are always important for me, just like they are for you. If you would like to leave a review for me, you can do that on the 800bizninja.marketing. Scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. You'll see a Google link there. If you got Gmail, it'll take you right into the review page. And I'd appreciate those. Any reviews that I get, I always answer every one of them. And I try to turn around and if it's possible, even do a reciprocal review for you. So it's just, again, it's a way that we can kind of help each other out. And it's, we want to let people know the value of what we're doing. So there's the link to the realtor training that's coming up. I mean, to the replay, that's where it'll be. And you'll be dumped into that page when we close the webinar out. So you can find that. Like I said, it'll be about 30 minutes afterwards. Let me know if there are any topics that you want to cover. I'll be more than happy to look at those and see, or if we need to do some refresher, then that's that we have that available too. Let's see, your next week's topic. So the webinars are always there. All of them are available. So when you go to that page, you'll be able to see every one of them we've done so far. I think there's eight or nine up there right now. So you can go back and see all of my webinars from this class are posted on that realtor-training.
When do they stay up, Gary?
They're up forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
They're only made available to folks that attend. I don't put those out on my website. They're not public. They're all private because you guys are the ones that attended and made the time to be here. And so that's why I use that. I make those available that way. Next week, we're going to be talking about writing an effective mission statement. If there's one thing that gets me, it's sort of find amusing when I read somebody's mission statement or their bio, and it says something like, I provide exemplary customer service with an eye to helping you achieve your goals. And I love working with customers to meet, the things that make them better, whatever it might be. And I look at those and I go, well, gee, that's really nice. What do you do? Are you a realtor or a plumber? Because they could say the same thing. You want to make sure that your mission statement talks about what you do and your goal and your mission, and it talks about how you serve your clients. So we're going to be talking about mission statements, and we're going to be talking about a little bit about content. So that's next week. So watch for that one. So any other questions? Anybody have anything else to add?
Just feel free to reach out to Paige or I for those prospect lists, and let's just get you up and running with this good stuff.
Okay, cool. Anything else? All righty. Thank you, guys. We will look forward to seeing you next week. And hopefully, I hope you have a good week. And we will.
Thank you, Gary.
Then.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Remember to shoot over that PDF